Captain Raiden Cole, a 29-year-old human pilot from Earth. Never expected his peaceful supply mission to end in a crash. His ship, the Wanderer, had taken a sudden hit from a strange energy wave near the unexplored Vila sector. One moment he was flying, and the next he was falling through the skies of a planet covered in silver forests and blue oceans. When he woke up, smoke was rising from his broken ship. His communication systems were down, oxygen was low. He stepped outside, hoping the air was breathable. It was. The gravity felt strange, but manageable. Raiden walked into the silver forest with his emergency pack, trying to find shelter, food, or any form of intelligent life. He found more than that. The Royal Rescue 2 days passed. Raiden survived by drinking from a glowing spring and eating strange fruit that tasted like honey. He had seen no people until he heard a scream. It was high-pitched and desperate. Raiden ran toward the sound and saw a woman, a tall alien girl. With glowing blue skin and long silver-white hair, she wore a royal-looking robe and was being attacked by a creature that looked like a mix of a bear and a lizard. Raiden didn't think. He grabbed a burning tree branch and charged. The creature roared and swiped at him, but Raiden ducked and stabbed the flaming stick into its eye. The beast cried in pain and ran off. The alien girl stared at him, her bright purple eyes wide with shock. You're not Valerie, she said in perfect English. You single quotes read ... human, yeah, Raiden said, panting. And you're welcome. Brought before the queen, that girl was Princess Thalina, first daughter of Queen Malaria Valeria. Raiden had no idea. He had just saved one of the most powerful royals in the galaxy. Guards arrived soon after. They didn't hurt him instead. They bowed to Thalina and followed her orders. Raiden was taken to a glowing white palace built into a mountain, where soft music played in the halls and everything smelled like flowers and lightning. When Queen Malari saw him, she stood from her crystal throne and gave a slow nod. You have saved my daughter's life, she said. By our laws, your life is now joined to hers. Raiden blinked. Wait, ... what? Thalina looked at him, cheeks slightly bluer than before, sign of embarrassment among the Valeri. Saving a royal means you are bound, she said. In the old days, this would mean life servitude, but now it means you are family. Family. Raiden asked, confused. Marriage, the queen said softly. You are to be her chosen? Raiden nearly fainted. Life in the palace over the next week, Raiden was treated like royalty. He was given a glowing robe, allowed to eat strange but tasty food, and slept in a soft bed surrounded by warm lights. But the best part of his stay was Thalina. She visited him every day. At first, they barely talked. But slowly Raiden got to know her. She was strong, smart, and very serious about her duties. She loved her people and often helped the sick and poor, yet she was also curious about humans, Earth, and why Raiden always scratched his head when nervous. You're different from Valeri men, she said once. They speak with flowers and poetry. You speak with sarcasm. Raiden laughed. Yeah, that's just how we survive stress. She smiled softly. I find it ... refreshing. One evening, while walking in the palace gardens, Thalina suddenly stopped. I know this was unexpected, she said, but I don't regret what happened. I want you to consider staying here with me. Raiden looked at her. The moonlight reflected off her silver hair. Her eyes were hopeful but calm. Thinking about it, he said truthfully, royal feast and the proposal, a grand feast was held in Raiden's honor. Valeri dancers moved like light and water. Musicians played on floating crystal drums. All the nobles came. The queen herself raised her glass and toasted to the brave human of flame. Then Thalina stood up. The hall went quiet, Thalina. Of House Malari, she said proudly. Ask Captain Raiden Cole of Earth to stand with me in the ritual of union. Weiss is our law, our history, and my wish. Raiden felt the weight of hundreds of eyes. He stood up slowly. I accept. The hall erupted in song and cheers. The queen smiled. Thalina nodded, her face glowing with pride. But suddenly the doors burst open. A bold new voice, second girl, younger and even taller than Thalina, stepped into the hall. Her hair was wild, her armor shining and her voice sharp as thunder. "You can't just marry him," she shouted. Everyone froze. It was Princess Velora, Thalina's younger sister. "If he marries you," she said, pointing at Thalina, "he must take me too." Raiden nearly choked on his drink. The hall whispered in shock. Some nobles laughed. Some gasped. Thalina turned pale blue. "Valera," she hissed, "this is not the time." "I don't care," Valera snapped. "If he's brave enough to save you and kind enough to win your heart, then he must be mine too." Raiden looked between the two sisters. "Wait, what now?" Princess Velora stood in the middle of the great hall like a storm wrapped in silk and metal. Her sharp silver eyes moved from her older sister Thalina to Raiden, then back again. The music had stopped. The dancers froze. Even Queen Malari, usually calm and proud, looked uneasy on her throne. "I am not joking," Velora said again. "By our law, if two royal sisters are unmarried and one is chosen by a suitor, the other may challenge the bond if her interest is true interest." Thalina replied coldly. "You've never even spoken to him." "I have now," Velaros said, walking straight up to Raiden. She looked him up and down, lips curling in a smirk. "So this is the human who saved my sister?" You look smaller than I imagined, but not bad." Raiden blinked. "Thanks. I guess." The queen raised a hand. "Enough. This is not a market or a contest. Velora, explain yourself. Why now?" "Because I don't want him taken by Thalina without choice," she said. "If he truly belongs to this family, then he must know both of us. He should choose or accept both." The nobles gasped again. Raiden rubbed his forehead. "Wait. Hold on, both." Understanding the customolator, in a private chamber filled with glowing candles and soft cushions, Aten sat across from both sisters. Thalina looked calm, but annoyed. Velora looked smug. Queen Malari had called for a pause in the engagement until things were clarified. Raiden was stuck in the middle. "I'm sorry," Raiden said finally, "but where I come from, we don't usually marry more than one person. It's complicated." Velora grinned. "Then welcome to Valeria, where things are even more complicated." Thalina sighed. "There is a law, Raiden. It's old and rarely used. But it exists. If two unmarried royal siblings seek the same bondmate, the elder has the right to speak first. But if the younger also speaks, then both must be considered or the engagement breaks. So, ... I have to choose between you two," he asked. Nervous, Velora leaned forward. "Or choose both." Raiden almost fell out of his seat. Sisters in conflict. Over the next few days, the palace became tense. News of the human love triangle spread like fire. Servants whispered. Nobles gossiped. And the royal sisters, once distant but polite now, started clashing in small, quiet ways. Thalina stuck to traditions. She invited Raiden to formal dinners, taught him Valeri history, and showed him the library with floating books. She was calm, gentle, and thoughtful. Velora was the opposite. She dragged Raiden to the training grounds, challenged him to run through obstacle courses, and once threw him into a pool just for fun. She was wild, blunt, and laughed at everything. Raiden couldn't deny it, both sisters were amazing in their own ways. But he was still confused. "This wasn't part of my life plan," he muttered one night while looking at the stars from his window. A talk with the Queen Malari invited Raiden for a private conversation in the royal garden. Flowers glowed softly around them. A warm breeze moved the leaves like slow music. "I know this is strange for you," she said gently, "but this situation may not be as bad as it feels." Raiden gave a tired laugh. "Your daughters are amazing, but I'm one guy. This is ... a lot." "Do you know why Velora did this?" she asked. Raiden shook his head. "She always lived in Thalina's shadow. But when you arrived, everything changed. For the first time, she saw someone who didn't care about status or power. Someone who treated Thalina like a person, not a princess. So she wanted that too?" The queen nodded. "But don't mistake this for jealousy. Velora is wild, yes, but she's honest. She wouldn't challenge unless she meant it." Raiden sat back. "What happens if I say no to both?" "Then you will be allowed to leave. The sisters may lose the right to bond for a full cycle. Great shame in our world. Raiden's chest tightened. He didn't want to hurt either of them. But this wasn't just a simple choice anymore. The shared bond trial, the royal council gathered and made a suggestion. The trial of shared harmony test used centuries ago to see if a bond between three people could work without pain or chaos. If they pass, said the High Chancellor, then the human may be accepted by both sisters. If not, the bond must break. The test would last 3 days. Raiden must live with both Thalina and Valora in the Mirror House, a special crystal home designed to reflect emotions. If arguments or dishonesty filled the air, the walls would crack and the house would hum with disharmony. If the Mirror House sings, the Queen said, then your bond is pure. Raiden didn't know whether to be excited or terrified. Day 1. Chaos and laughter. The first day in the Mirror House was a mess. Thalina and Valora argued about everything. You gave him raw berries. They caused sleepiness in humans. He liked them. You didn't let him rest. You didn't let him live. Raiden tried to stay calm. He cooked dinner to ease the tension, but it only got worse when the fire turned blue and nearly burned the food at night. The house gave a small hummin', balanced, unsure. Rayden lay awake, thinking, how do I bring peace between two sisters who want the same thing but won't share it? Day 2. Honesty and Stories. The next morning, Raiden asked the sisters to sit down. No royal rules, no guards, just them. I need to know who you are, he said. Not as princesses, as people. They talked for hours. Thalina shared how lonely her title made her feel. She was always perfect, always controlled. Raiden listened, and for the first time saw her sadness. Valora shared her anger not at her sister, but at always being second, always unnoticed. She didn't want to steal Raiden. She wanted to be seen. I see you, Raiden said quietly. Both of you. That night, the Mirror House glowed soft blue. A peaceful hum filled the air. Day 3, the choice, the final day, was silent. No arguments, just shared meals, soft conversations, and quiet walks. Raiden felt peace. He laughed. More, listened more, and felt something grown. Not just love for the sisters, but a bond that connected them all. As the sun set, the house sang a full, beautiful song that echoed across the valley. The Queen appeared, smiling. You passed, Spee continued. ... The bond had survived the trial, but not everyone in the kingdom was happy. In the shadows, jealous nobles whispered of tradition, of danger, of rebellion, ... And Raiden had no idea what came next. The Mirror House had sung. Its clear crystal walls had glowed with soft blue light, sound rising that meant peace, understanding, and balance between souls. The royal council could not argue anymore. The law was old but clear. If the house sings, the bond is real. Raiden Cole had passed the trial. Both Princess Thalina and Princess Valora had bonded with him, emotionally and mentally. But peace never lasts forever. Whispers in the shadows outside the palace walls. Noble families whispered. Human. Bonded with both princesses? It breaks tradition. It weakens the bloodline. He is dangerous. Some were jealous, others afraid. The House of Cylon, one of the oldest noble families, began stirring trouble. They called for a new test, a public trial, to prove the human soul was strong enough to guide the kingdom. It's not just pleas to hearts. Queen Malari agreed, but with a warning. If you wish to test him, she said, you must follow the trial of the heart, ancient path that none have taken in over 2 centuries. The nobles agreed, secretly hoping the human would fail. Raiden, of course, had no idea what was coming. The trial was announced one morning. Raiden was called to the central hall. The queen stood with her daughters beside her, nobles in long robes, lined both sides of the throne room. The council has spoken, Malari said. You must take the trial of the heart to prove yourself worthy of dual royal bonding. Raiden looked at Thalina and Valora. They both looked worried. Exactly as that? He asked. The queen raised her staff. You must face 3 tests of memory, spirit, and choice. These will take place in the Hall of Echoes, Raiden sighed. Of course it has a scary name. Valora whispered to him, "Don't die. I'd be very annoyed." Thalina added quietly, "Just be yourself. That's more than enough." Test 1. Memorodon was taken to a long room filled with glowing mist. A sphere hovered in the center. The moment he touched it, he was no longer on Valeria. He was back on Earth, back in his childhood home. He saw his younger self sitting on a broken couch, watching a small TV. His father shouted in the background. His mother cried quietly in the kitchen. Raiden clenched his fists. He had buried this memory deep. "Why show me this?" he shouted. A voice answered, soft and ancient. "To see if you carry pain, or if pain carries you." He watched himself grow, joining the Space Force, flying his first mission, failing, crying, rising again. He saw the moment he left Earth, the loneliness, the hope. "You are not your past," the voice said, "but you must not forget it." The mist cleared. Radon opened his eyes. He was crying, but he was still standing. Test 2, Spirit, the second test, took him into a dark crystal chamber. Lights pulsed around him. Slowly glowing shapes formed Thalina and Valora. But they were not real. These were illusions. His shadows. Made from his own fears, the fake Thalina said coldly, "You don't belong here. You are weak." The fake Valora laughed cruelly. "You are just a toy to us." A joke. Raiden stepped back. His heart pounded. The shadows circled him, whispering all his worst thoughts. "You are alone. You will fail. No one loves you. You are only human." Raiden dropped to his knees. But then he heard laughter, dull laughter. Valera's voice from memory. "You punch like a feather, Raiden." Thalina's soft voice. "You matter. You help me feel again." He stood up. "Those voices are mine," he said. "But they're not the truth." The shadows cracked and faded. Test 2, dash complete. Test 3. The final test was the hardest. Raiden entered a round chamber where Queen Malari waited with both princesses this time. The real ones. Now she said, "You must choose, Raiden." Blinked. "Choose." "You must decide," the queen said, "who you will take as bondmate. You may only name one." The room went quiet. Thalina stood tall, calm, proud. Valora looked at him with wide eyes. For once she was quiet. Raiden's heart sank. "This wasn't part of the deal," he whispered. "It is the final part," the queen said. "The law allows a human to bond with 2, but only if he proves the ability to make a sacrifice." He looked at both sisters. He loved them in different ways. Thalina was his guide, his calm light. Valora was his fire, his laughter. How could he choose? A different Answerin took a deep breath. "I won't choose one," he said. The queen's eyes narrowed. "Then you fail." "No," he said. "Let me speak." The nobles leaned in. Everyone listened. I faced my memories, my pain, fears. I passed your tests. But love isn't about picking the best one. It's about building something together. He turned to the sisters. "You both taught me different things. Thalina, you showed me patience. Valora, you gave me strength. Together you balanced me." He faced the queen again. "If choosing one means breaking the other's heart, then I choose neither." Gasps echoed through the chamber. But the queen smiled. The truth revealed that, she said, is the correct answer. Raiden blinked. "Wait, what? What?" Malari stepped down from her throne. This was not a test of love. It was a test of selflessness. The trial of the heart is not about who you pick. It's about knowing love is not possession. You passed. Raiden turned to see Thalina and Valora smiling, both crying. "You scared me," Valora said, wiping her face. "You made the right call," Thalina added. Heading forward, the queen raised her staff. "I now declare the bond of Raiden Cole to Princess Thalina and Princess Valora, eternal and true." The chamber shook with applause. A growing storm, but not all were happy in the crowd. Lord Sillin whispered to his guards, "This cannot stand. A human cannot rule beside our queens." The people must fear him. Plans were already forming. Raiden was winning hearts, but enemies were watching. It had been 2 weeks since the trial of the heart. Captain Raiden Cole was now officially bonded to both Princess Thalina and Princess Valora. It's the first human in Valerian history to be accepted into the royal bloodline. Some in the kingdom celebrated with joy, others watched in silence, and a few, like Lord Sillin, prepared for war in the shadows. Raiden felt the change in the air. Even the wind carried whispers. New life begins. The palace had become more open to him. Raiden now joined royal meetings, walked the gardens freely, and even taught a few human games to the Valeri children. His bond with the sisters had grown deeper. With Thalina, he shared quiet talks and deep thoughts. She helped him understand Valerian culture, and he helped her laugh more. With Valora, life was louder. She dragged him to races, flying lessons, and once even threw him off a cliff into a lake, of course. She called it bond trust. One evening, the three sat near the crystal fountain. The moons hung low in the sky. "I still can't believe this is real," Raiden said. "It's real," Thalina said. "And it's only just starting." Valora smiled. "Enjoy the peace while it lasts. Human." She was right. The secret attack. The next day, a message arrived. A group of Valeri citizens had been attacked in the forest near the eastern border. The guards found unknown energy weapons, not Valerian, and not human. The queen called a meeting. "I fear something larger is moving." In the shadows, she said. Raiden stood beside the sisters as nobles argued across the chamber. "Lord," Sillin finally spoke. "This is the cost of letting outsiders near our throne," he said coldly. "We weaken our roots by letting them bond with royal blood." Raiden met his gaze. "So someone is attacking your people, and your first thought is to blame me? Who else brought the chaos?" Cylon snapped. "Before you, there was peace." Thalina stepped forward. Before him, there was silence and fear. Raiden has brought honesty, not chaos. The queen raised her hand. "Enough. I will settle." The queen's decision that evening. Queen Malari called Raiden, Thalina, and Valera into her private chamber. No guards, just them and the stars above. "I have watched you closely," she said. "Raiden, you are not just bonded. You are now part of this world. You must act like it." Raiden nodded. "Want to help?" "You will lead a peace mission to the borderlands," the queen said. "You will take both my daughters. Together you must find who is behind the attacks." Thalina frowned. "That's dangerous." Valora grinned. "That's perfect." The queen touched Raiden's shoulder. "This is more than a mission. This is your first test as a protector of Valeria." Raiden didn't hesitate. "I'll do it." The journey begins. They left the next morning. Raiden wore new armor, light and strong, colored in royal blue and silver. Alanae carried scrolls, maps, and healing kits. Valora had her twin blades and a smirk that never faded. Their ship, the Luna Wing, was small, but fast. Raiden flew it himself. He was proud of how far he'd come from crash landing here, to now fly in a royal craft. They reached the borderlands in one day. What they saw shocked them. Ruins in Cluza. Eastern villages were burned, not completely, but enough to scare. People hid in underground homes. Smoke still rose from the trees. A farmer stepped forward when he saw them. His arms were burned and his eyes full of fear. "It was not of this world," he said. "Dark shapes. Fire from..." Their hands, they said nothing, just destroyed. Raiden shared a look with the princesses. This wasn't normal. Thalina studied the ground. These energy burns, they match ancient war tech. Not from Valeria. Valora found something else, a black crystal shard, humming with strange energy. "This doesn't belong here," she said. Dren took it. His fingers tingled. Something was wrong. An enemy revealed that night. They camped near the broken temple. Raiden sat near the fire while the sisters took turns resting. Suddenly a shadow moved. Raiden grabbed his weapon. "Show yourself." From the darkness stepped a tall figure. Not Valeri. Not human. It was a Draxesis species long thought extinct. Their skin was dark metal, their eyes glowing red. Their bodies moved like smoke. "I come with warning," it said. Rayden held his ground. "You're the one attacking?" "No. Others of my kind, those who hate peace, have returned. They follow Lord Scylan's whispers. He offers them power, if they help him rise." Lana and Valora rushed out with weapons ready, but the Draxus raised its hands. "I bring truth, not war." "Tell us this," Alina asked. "Because if Cylon succeeds, your world will fall, and mine will burn with it." Then the Draxus disappeared into mist, returned to the Palace Eridon, and the princesses returned at once. The evidence was strong: the crystal shard, the witness reports, and the visit from the Draxus. But would the court believe them, as expected? Lord Scylan denied everything. "These lies are born from fear," shouted. "The human seeks power, not peace." The queen stood slowly. "I believe my daughters," she said. "And I believe Rayden." Gasps filled the chamber. "I name Rayden Cole as High Protector of the Royal Bond," she declared. "He will serve beside my daughters, not behind them." Scylan's face turned cold, but he said nothing. Yet. A bond that inspires the people. Valeria began to change. They saw how Rayden treated both princesses with respect, humor, and care. He didn't act like a king. He didn't try to control. He worked with them. Children started playing Rayden and the sisters in the streets. Artists painted their trio together. Songs were written. Even other noble families began to soften. Rayden, once just a pilot from Earth, had become something new, a symbol of unity. But trouble still bruised late that night. A small explosion rocked the outer garden. Warning: a symbol was burned into the wall. The mark of House Scylan, mixed with Draxus. Energy lines. Rayden, holding Thalana and Valora close, whispered only one thing: "They're coming." The symbol burned into the garden wall, glowed faintly in the moonlight. Rayden, Stelina, and Valora stared at it in silence. It was the mark of House Cylon, mixed with alien lines Draxus tech. It wasn't just a warning, it was a promise. Preparing. For war, the queen ordered all nobles to the council hall. The energy shard and other evidence were shown. Still, Lord Scylan stood tall, proud, and unshaken. "These are tricks," he said calmly. "Fear makes the weak see ghosts." Not everyone believed him. Thanks to Rayden's efforts and the sisters' support, many nobles had started to listen. Some shifted in their seats. Some frowned. One even walked out in protest. The queen finally spoke. "I will not wait for war to knock. We will strike first." She looked to Rayden. "You led my daughters through trials. Now lead my people. Stop it, the traitor, before it's too late." Rayden placed his fist on his chest. "I will." The hidden Fortress Thalana used her knowledge to track the energy signal from the crystal shard. Valora scouted the land with her warriors. Together, they found Cylon's secret fortress, deep in the storm caverns, a place banned long ago. A place now alive with strange lights and machines. Rayden, Thalana, and Valora took a small team and flew under the radar. The mission: gather proof and shut down the alliance between Cylon and the Draxus. Rayden had trained with the palace guards. He moved like a soldier now, not a pilot lost in a crash, but a leader standing tall. Into the storm the team reached. The caverns at dawn. Lightning cracked above as they entered the dark mouth of the cave. Inside, glowing red lights pulsed through the walls. Drones flew silently across metal paths. Draxus warriors guarded the halls, half flesh, half tech, like shadows given shape. Rayden held his breath. "We're not just facing soldiers," he whispered. "These are machines of war." Valora grinned. "Then let's give them war." The team moved quickly. Thalana hacked the main systems. Valora led the fight. Rayden used his old training to plant energy bombs across key points. They moved. Like a perfect team bonded in heart and battle. The final showdown in the main control chamber. Lord Scylan stood with a Draxus commander beside him. His eyes narrowed when he saw them. "You were never supposed to come this far," Scylan said. "And you were never supposed to betray your people," Thalina replied. "You chose a human over tradition," he spat. "Now the old world will rise again with me," Raiden stepped forward. You wanted fear? We chose love, Sillon laughed. Then die with it. The Draxus raised its hand. Weapons appeared. Chamber exploded into battle. A fight for the future Raiden fought like never before. Not for survival, but for Valaria, for Thalina, for Valora, and for the bond they had all built. Thalina used her knowledge to disable shields. Valora danced between enemies like fire and wind, cutting through the dark. Raiden faced Cylon directly. The noble was fast and skilled with ancient weapons, but Raiden had something more purpose. With one final strike, he disarmed Cylon and pinned him down. It's over, Raiden, said Cylon growled. You think peace will last? Raiden nodded. If we fight for ITS, behind them. The main control core exploded. The Draxus commander vanished in a flash of energy, retreating. The palace returns to light back at the palace. The news spread fast. The queen ordered Lord Sillon to be imprisoned. The remaining Draxus who had joined the plot were banished. And for the first time in centuries, the Valeri held a celebration that lasted 3 days. Raiden stood beside the princesses as the people cheered. He wore a silver robe with earth symbols sewn into it. Thalina and Valora each held one of his hands. The queen raised her voice above the music. Today we honor not just victory, but unity. She turned to the crowd. Let this be known. Raiden Cole is no longer a visitor. He is a shield of Valeria, bonded to my daughters, and a symbol of the future. Peace in the Sky Weeks past. Valeria began rebuilding the eastern lands. Raiden helped design new defenses and even opened talks with peaceful Draxus groups who wanted peace too. Thalina helped rewrite old laws, allowing shared bonding and cross-species unions to be honored. Valora trained new guards, adding earth tactics to their fighting style. One night, the trio sat again, near the same crystal fountain, where it all began. Raiden looked at them both. You two changed my life. Valora smirked. We nearly ended it a few times too, Thalina smiled. But in the end, you became our balance. Raiden nodded. You became my home. A new beginning a year later, Valeria crowned its first triad council. Raiden, Elena, and Valora, ruling together with peace, laughter, and strength. The galaxy watched as Valaria became a symbol of unity between humans and aliens. New trade began. Culture was shared. Songs, food, games, and knowledge passed across stars, and it all started because one human crash-landed in a silver forest and saved a princess. Final scene. A soft joke and a bright future as Raiden stood on the palace balcony, watching the stars. Thalina walked beside him. Do you ever miss Earth? She asked. Sometimes, he said, but Earth never had 2 alien princesses arguing over me. Valora walked up on the other side. I still say I claimed you first. No way, Thalina replied. You just interrupted. Raiden smiled as they started bickering. Again, he looked at the stars and whispered, Humanity, we made it.